What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for this week's episode of Attack on Titan Season 4. Holy fuck. What an episode, ladies and gentlemen. My god. Platinum said, my man Platinum told me that this episode will put me in the fucking hospital. He was not wrong. This episode was absolutely insane, and apparently, Eren is now Hitler. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Eren is now wants the genocide of everybody that aren't the Eldians, man. Whew! A lot of shit went down this episode, a lot to discuss, but without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right in. Also, guys, I just want to apologize for how long the review took to get up last week. Sorry about that, but literally there was so much shit that got in the way of it. First, of course, the video took a while to record because the video was 40 minutes and exporting everything. But really, what took the longest was just getting the thumbnail together. Because I was getting the screenshots. I was taking the which I was kind of like procrastinating a little bit on it, but I got the screenshots eventually. But then literally right as I opened up Photoshop, by this point it's like 6 or 7 p.m. at this point. And then I'm about to, I have Photoshop open, I'm about to open up the file, get started with the thumbnail. Literally right as I'm about to get started working on this thing, the fucking fire alarm goes off. Legit, the fucking fire alarm goes off. It was like a drill or whatever, and I'm like, really? Really? A drill at like fucking 8 o'clock p.m.? You guys could not do this earlier on in the day. Really? Y'all had to do it at this current moment. Right as I'm about to work on my thumbnail. So then finally, after maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes, I forget how long it was, we finally got back in there. I was able to get the thumbnail, and then the video took forever to upload, but I eventually got it up. But anyway, sorry how long until the review took out this guy. Fingers crossed this one will get out a lot quicker this time, but we'll have to wait and see on that if the gods will allow it. Anyway, now let's jump right into this week's episode. So he starts the episode off with Grisha fighting. We're actually going to see Grisha fighting off against the Founding Titan. Tabal kills her, munches off her nape, and then we actually see him just crush and kill all of the other family members, the other family members of the royal family, obviously except for Historia's dad. So you see them, he crushes them under his hand like they're flies, crushes them in their hands like the fucking female, like the fucking Smiling Titan did back in season 1, minus ripping off the spine part, but just crushed it in her hands. Yeah, and I like when they do it, when he crushes his hand, you see the blood come on top of the screen before it completely covers it. And then from there, they just reuse the footage of what happened between Grisha and Zeke at the end of last week's episode. From there, so once we get back to the actual new footage. That's when Zeke realizes that, or Eren rather tells him, "Oh, come on, you haven't seen me eating them yet." And so that's when Zeke realizes, wait, if the Attack Titan truly has the power to transcend time, then it is possible to show Grisha memories that best suit you, which obviously it looks like he did. He did manipulate Grisha to make sure that he stays on the path that he was already currently on and not change the timeline at all, when he probably could. He may, I don't know, like I said, we still don't really know the full extent of this of this thing, or at least as far as I know, we haven't seen the full total. So who knows, maybe he could not even if he wanted to maybe tell Grisha, no, don't do it. He couldn't, maybe he couldn't work regardless. Either way, Grisha probably would still kill him. We don't know yet. But regardless of such, as they continue on, Eren tells Zeke that he's thankful because that now that he was able to see his memories that he was able to go through into Grisha's memory, the past he's on is now possible. And we also find out that because he was able to see his future through Grisha's memories when he interacted with Historia back in season 3. That's why he has that face. It's because he saw the future, and now we obviously do not see what is in this future, of course, but he just says the sight. And so, obviously, Zeke is horrified through this. It's horrified with this. And this is when Zeke finally tells the founder, Ymir, to take away the ability to fully enact the euthanasia plan, tells Ymir to take away the ability to reproduce for every subject of Ymir. So she just starts mindlessly walking towards the tree. Eren realizes this, so he starts desperately trying to get out there, and Zeke tells him that that's not like you saw everything, and now that you are as powerless as ever now because he's hanged up here and he can't use the power of the founder anyway. So, but that does not stop Aaron. My man, you know how Aaron be about his freedom. So he is pushing and trying to like free his hands from these shackles. And bro, the scream from Aaron's Japanese voice actor, shout outs to him, man. His scream was awesome. I cannot wait to see how Bryce handles the scream. That is going to be when we finally get to this episode. Aaron's on season in a dub on Aaron's channel because as we finally found out a couple days ago, next week is when the dub is finally going to debut on Toonami, so I'm hyped for that. Kind of surprised it's not going to be starting it because that's what usually AOT does, but Shenmue is currently airing. I do wonder how long they're going to keep Shenmue as the top slot in Toonami as the opening before they switch. If they're going to ever just maybe let Shenmue have it for a couple weeks and switch it back to AOT because it's AOT, or are they just going to leave AOT on the second slot and let Shenmue take the top spot throughout its run because it is a partnership between them and Crunchyroll. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but regardless, we are getting AOT next week, so I'm hyped. Anyway, so Aaron eventually finally manages to break free of the chains, and it looks like my man lost some fingers while he was trying to do it, man. Because we see get close up one of the chains, and we see his pinky with a bunch of skin still attached to it, man. Ugh. Was not a pretty sight, man. Was not a pretty sight. So he starts rushing. So he's obviously rushing towards the founder Ymir. Zeke is saying that no matter that you cannot, that once the founder Ymir is given an order, nothing in the world can stop her. As he's sprinting towards her, and then we see him lunge out there before we then cut to where we find out about the founder Ymir's backstory, and basically, kind of in a sense, the backstory of the Titans in general. I don't know. I'm not completely sure this is everything about the Titans that this is indeed their origins, and we have learned everything, or maybe Ishiyama is maybe holding off on some details, and we'll get the true origins of the Titans at a later time. With this series, you don't know anymore. Anything could happen in Attack on Titan, as we've learned up to this point. So nothing is set in stone at this point. But anyway, before we get to the actual battle, we have this scene with Historia and the founding Titan, which I'm pretty sure we saw this scene back in season 3, but this time I definitely knew for a fact they reanimated it, not like the key where I'm like, did they reuse the footage from season 1? Did they reanimate? It looks basically the same now. This they definitely reanimated. But anyway, so Historia's talking with her, and she asks her what's it like to be ladylike. And she's like, I don't know. And then she points to the girl that's in the book she's reading, and she says, maybe it's like her. You like her? She's like, yeah. And that's, of course, what transitions to the founder Ymir, and that's when we finally get to her actual origin story. Now, as we have seen throughout these last couple of episodes, we've finally been introduced to the founder Ymir. We notice that she basically is her body and just everything is completely grayed out. It's very dull in colors, very drab, almost shit colors, very drab and grayish, not very pleasing, not very eye-catching or anything like that. And she has, no eyes. She, just has the lines in, where her eyes should be and, just no pupils. She has no eyes, basically. So then when we get to, this era, which I'm assuming is the Viking Age, because the way the soldiers look like Vikings, I don't know, I'm not a history buff. If there's any watch this video, please leave down in the comments if I'm wrong if these are not actually Vikings or not. But anyway, everyone else doesn't have eyes. Everyone else has the same drab color palette, and everyone else doesn't have eyes in the episode, which I thought was pretty interesting. Anyway, so we see her. She's pouring. She's grabbing this bucket out from a well. She's pouring into another bucket, and that's of course when the Vikings show up. And she says that because the founder goes on and mentions that because this world is so full of pain and suffering, and then as we see these Vikings taking everybody under captive and of course burning the place down and everything because Vikings war. I had to get into my War Raiders reference in. Anyway, while the place is getting burned down, everyone's getting put in handcuffs and everything. We actually see, if you were paying attention to the foreground, you can see this one guy. He's onto someone else's tongue with these pliers, pulled it out towards him, and it looks like he was gonna cut his tongue off. And then he had this bandage thing over his mouth, so it looks like they were gonna straight up cut out his tongue, like it's the fucking Mummy Returns, from the 30s, Universal monster movies. So yeah, that was kind of hardcore. But anyway, We then transition. Then we get to find who I guess is the captain of these Vikings, their leader. And she's like, "Oh, somebody let out the pigs last night. Who let them out? If someone doesn't speak up, I will gouge all of you. I will gouge an eye from each of you. Slaves don't deserve to have two eyes." And like I said, everybody, including the Vikings, all have this like drab color palette, which looks really cool, I will say. While the environments look about normal, that everyone, all the characters and all the character models and their call and their caught and like their outfits, and everything are all super like grayed out and drab. It looks really cool. It makes me kind of wonder how this looked like in the manga, because mangas are in black and white. So I'm curious if either this was just like just like the director of the episode or whatever, just their call to make everyone this drab, or it kind of looked that way in the manga too. Not sure, but like I said, I don't read the manga. But I will one day. One day I'll get to reading the manga. But anyway. So the king goes on there, who also low-key reminded me of the king from Vinland Saga, if I'm being honest. Thank God we're getting season 2 of that. But anyway, I'm getting off track. So we still, he's like, and like wondering, like, somebody come up here or I'll gouge your eyes out. Slaves don't deserve one. Don't deserve two eyes. And then literally everybody, and I really like this shot too, where everybody starts pointing at the founder Ymir. And like I said, I thought the shot looked really cool. It was kind of 3D-ish, where the camera starts like moving like midair kind of thing. It looked really, really cool, like we saw 2 episodes ago with when Aaron's head got decapitated. It really cool. It makes you kind of wonder how that looked like in the manga as well. Probably looked really cool. But everyone starts pointing at the founder, and the founder just kind of looks at everyone kind of confused. They just look at her. And that's when she kind of like kneels, like she kind of like bends down, goes down to her knees. And she's like, "Ah, I see. You're free." And so then instantly transitions to her running away from like these guys on horseback that are shooting arrows at her. Now we don't know if she got her eye cut out but it doesn't look like there is, because we do see like there's like some blood around one of her eyes, but her eyes look like they're both still her eyes look completely intact. So I think it might have just been like a cut from like one of the arrows or something. Either way, she's hit with arrows. She's trying to run away from these guys. She gets hit another arrow in the knee. She took an arrow to the knee. I had to throw them in there, but it was more like her leg. She gets hit with an arrow to her leg, and then she like falls down like this little hill thing. We see like there's like about 5 guys on horseback trying to chase after her. They got a dog with them too, of course they do. And so the founder sees there's like some blood on like this flower she sees, and then she sees this big ass tree. She gets up and walks towards the tree, inside the tree. Once she gets inside the tree, she starts looking around, but then she kind of like slips down on the slide, which sends her into like this body of water. And as she's sinking down, basically looks like she drowns. We see this centipede-looking creature that looked like the character from The Flow, from that game company, if you guys have played that game, coming and like riding up towards her. And in like context from which I guess we can assume that this centipede creature thing is the founding titan itself. I guess. I don't know. It's all just real sense. And anyway, it makes contact with her, and she of course shifts into a titan. And we see her design, like her rib cages are like sticking out of there with like her boobs and everything. Looked pretty cool. And like her like head, it looks like it was just like a skull, no skin towards the bed. Looked real cool. I like the design of this early version of the founding titan, of the original founding titan. Anyway, after that, so then she's back in front of the king, I guess. I don't know. We never really got this guy's name. We get in front of him, and she's like, "My slave Ymir, you have done well. You have cultivated the wilds, bridged mountains, blah, and build roads," or whatever the fuck he said. And so then that's when we see, or then he says, "Because of you, my tribe Elia has expanded exponentially." So we obviously know that this Viking obviously stars like the founder of Elia. He's the one that started it, and everything. And then we see like this battlefield between the Eldians and the Marlians. Now the interesting thing about the Marlians, and I don't know if this was done on purpose or not, but they dress like Spartans. Like legit like Spartans from 300. They got the helmets, the cape, and everything, man. I don't know if Ishiyama was just a big fan of 300 or not, but I found it weird that they're called Marlies, but they're dressing like Spartans. I feel like that doesn't really work, but I don't know. To be fair, the show never really went for historical accuracy, to be fair, so I just found it kind of interesting that this is Marlia, but they're dressing like Spartans from Rome, you know? But regardless of stuff, or Sparta, I guess. Anyway, regardless of such, we see them on the battlefield, and they're in there like fighting off against each other. We see that we see the Eldians obviously win this battle. Their flame is on fire. They have a bunch of the Spartans' heads on pikes, the whole 9 yards. And so then. And then he also, and after trying, he says, in the name of Fritz. So we can assume that this guy is the original King Fritz. We can assume is who this guy is. And then he says, because of all that, I shall give you a reward. Now, what do you think this reward can be as a sensible, normal human? Do you think maybe he gives her freedom? Maybe a house, land to enjoy the remainders of life? Or his fucking hand of merit, something, No, ladies and gentlemen. He says, as a reward, I shall give you my seed. Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. His seed. Now, when I heard this, I'm like, excuse me, sir. What do you mean by seed? Do you mean seeds as plant seeds? Do you want to give her a farm to cultivate, build crops and everything, maybe to help the economy and have a food source for all the Eldians here? Or by seed, do you mean, Well, after we see the battlefield, we see that she's pregnant. So that obviously answers that question, ladies and gentlemen. And then we see one kid, and one kid turns to 2 kids, and 2 kids turn to 3 kids, and oh boy, there were a lot of kids. And the look on her face too, man. Jesus. Pretty fucked up shit was going on here, man. But anyway. We then see that now that we then see King Fritz, we then see the Eldians really starting to expand. It started to also look like ancient Rome, honestly. You have the giant building with those pillars on it. I forget what this building's called in Rome or whatever, but it kind of looks like that one, and all that shit. And like I said, we see that we see her with 3 kids when she's walking down this aisle with the soldiers that obviously leads to this giant building. We see King Fritz got his armor on and everything, and so while the Marins are kneeling down as he's doing his thing, one of them grabs at the ground, pulls out a spear, and then just throws it right at King Fritz. And so that's what I'm just gonna call him because we never get his name, and I'm just gonna assume that this is King Fritz. Anyway. So the spear comes towards him. Obviously, all the soldiers around him annihilate this Roman, or Marley, and whatever you want to call him. So he gets killed. But then we see that actually the founder Ymir is the one that takes the actual hit. She takes the hit from the spear and falls down to the ground. And then King Fritz is like, "Oh, get off my sled. I know well that Ymir's spear cannot kill you." And then we see her slowly close her eyes as the screen fades to black. And we see that flower that we saw earlier in the episode appear for a split second before she fully closes her eyes. And this entire screen fade to black. I thought that looked really cool. And then, Jesus fucking Christ. Apparently I'm watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre now, because then we see they have started chopping up Founder Ymir's body into all these pieces and demanding that his and her daughters eat her flesh to inherit her powers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, King Fritz turned his daughters into fucking cannibals and had them eat their fucking mother. Talk about going back into the womb. So as they're munching down on their dinner, and then we see King Fritz on his deathbed, and he has this whole plan. He says, "If my daughters die, feed your spine to my grandchildren. You must inherit," or he tells his daughters to give birth and multiply. He legit says it, give birth and multiply, like it's a fucking Matrix with Agent Smith. All you do is multiply. And multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. A virus. Alright, no quoting the Matrix. Anyway, so he tells them to multiply, but he says, "If my daughters die, feed your spines to your grandchildren. If my grandchildren die, feed their spines to one child and another. My kingdom, the subjects of Ymir or whatever cannot go down. We must keep this lineage going and for all eternity have the Titans, reign supreme." And as he's going off about that, we actually see that the founder Ymir finally wakes up in the desert wasteland thing, whatever you want to call it, that we have seen up here in this last couple of episodes. And so then we see her holding this bucket, like she's like just walking down like this road. As we see her, I guess, forming the different types of titans. And also, almost forgot to mention this. While he's talking about his daughter, telling him to multiply and everything, we find out what their names are. Their names are Rose, Maria, and Cena. Which obviously those names should be very familiar to all of you because those are the same names of the walls that we have seen throughout the entire AO2 series. So obviously we now know where the walls came from, at least what they were named after. The daughters of the founder Ymir. So that was interesting learning about. I was like, wait, what? Oh shit, So anyway, as I was saying, she's walking, she has like this bucket of water, she's coming down here, and it looks like she's like forming the different types of titans. Looks like there's like a colossal titan or something. And so he goes on to be like, my titans will reign supreme for all eternity. And that's when Eren comes to interrupt her, says, and enough of this, and this is the end, And then this is when my man starts to use that talk no jutsu. So as Eren is holding the phone to Ymir, he's telling her, you are not the god. You are not a god, but you are not a slave either. You are human. You do not need to obey anybody. You have the right to choose. You can choose. And as he's screaming at her, Seekers are like, Eren, what are you doing? Ymir, I am a royal man, follow my order, get rid of it. And he's like screaming at Ymir, telling her to keep going and, get rid of the Eldian's ability to reproduce. As he's like rushing towards to stop Eren, Eren just keep talking to her, using that talk no jutsu to amazing effect because next time we see the founder Ymir, she basically has like the same expression that Eren did back in season 3, but this time she finally has eyes now and she's like tearing up. So, and I was like, oh shit. So then the founder ends up picking Eren to give her to let him rather use the founding titan's abilities. We see that centipede creature thing go into like Eren's head, and then we see Eren transform into the founding titan. But at least I think he does. We never really got a good look at the design. But then that's when the walls start to crumble, the colossal titans inside them start marching. And that's when and like Armin, he's excited like, yes, Eren is on his side, and Mikasa can't hear shit. And mind you, Armin is literally screaming right in front of her, and she can't hear him. Which I don't know, it's because all these colossal titans are marching because their footsteps, the rumbling, if you will, that she can't hear. But I just felt like she's like, I can't hear you. And she's like, when he's like right in front of her. But anyway. But then, so as he's telling her that Eren has won, he's on her side and everything, that's when Armin realizes something. If they're just going to tackle the Allied forces, all they would need were the outer walls of Cena, because he notices that Maria's walls are falling too. All of the walls are falling. All of the Titans are marching. And so that's when Eren decides to talk to all the subjects of Ymir, and they all kind of transport to the desert wasteland thing or whatever. Have we got an official name for this place yet? Have we got an official name? I don't know. But anyway, he says, to the subjects of Ymir. And that's when Mika's like, wait, I can hear Eren in my head. Excuse me. So then, that's when Eren lays it all down where he says that I want to protect the people of Paradise, where I was born and raised. And then of course, people have wished for for all the Eldians to get annihilated and the people in Paradise to get annihilated. He rejects this wish, and that he has all the walls, and he's having all the Titans from the walls marching to trample the land of everywhere to protect this place until everybody in those lands are completely annihilated. That's kind of the gist of what he said. Basically, he's gonna kill everybody on Earth that aren't from Paradise. He has officially become Hitler, and we see this shot with static around it of Eren, maybe kind of mixing with his Titan form or something. It looks really fucking cool, and the static they give it, I think, really adds to the creep factor to it. And I don't know if this is from the manga or if this was just from Mappa, but either way, it looks badass and creepy as hell. And it works really well for when he's saying that I will trample all the surface of the land outside this island, and have been exterminated from this world. Fucking man, that's when the credits play and we get the ED, bro. Shit. Fucking that shit. And it looks like the next episode is gonna be more of a typical AOT episode with action and everyone taking down the Titans and everything as the Titans are starting to come after them. That should be interesting. We also see everyone's design. We see that Falco is just laying on the ground. Gabby's like on her knees, just staring up, just like she's probably tired out from shooting air, but looks like she's gonna be doing some crazy shit in the next episode. The next episode, where we see her like jumping off boxes with a gun. So that's gonna be interesting, man. And fucking A, man, what an episode. What an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Another phenomenal episode. Indeed, this episode did put me in the hospital, Platinum. And yeah, man. This series is crazy. I'm obviously hyped for the next episode. And yeah, man. This shit crazy, man. This shit has been crazy, getting crazier and crazier with each passing episode, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, that is where I end this video off. Overall, I am going to give this episode a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new, follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.